time for Overtime.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
In the world of sports, it's all about the playmakers in today's headlines, from locals to the pros, with interviews from local standouts and sports all-stars across the country that will have you talking.
And a drive to right. Good! The season has begun.
Hear from coaches to players, sports analysts, and broadcasters who are a part of the action every day. Overtime, now with Bert Rameen on ESPN 102.3 AM 1000 KSOO, Sioux Falls sports leader.
Right back with you. It is the start of hour number 2. We're a little heavy coming into the second hour, but we're certainly glad that you're with us here on Overtime. Stay tuned. I still have a ton of certificates to help you out this week. Free cupcakes to Oh My Cupcakes. Several six-packs here up for grabs. If you don't want to drop the ball for Mother's Day, you got to get on it early. Got to plan in advance, and you can listen to Overtime and win big coming up here very soon throughout the week. I'll be trying to hook up some forgetful husbands, forgetful partners with some great certificates here. Free six-pack of cupcakes to Oh My Cupcakes. Pair of great locations here in Sioux Falls. And the best part is when you go to pick these up or have them delivered, there's also other goodies there at Oh My Cupcakes, including greeting cards, everything that you need to make Mother's Day special for your mom, for your wife-to-be, for your girlfriend, whatever it might be. Mother's Day on the way, and make sure you don't drop the ball. Oh My Cupcakes gives you an opportunity to not drop the ball here on Overtime. Giveaway coming here on the program. Still to come on the show on this day in sports history, Kentucky Derby recap, latest from the NBA, and much, much more on this Monday, May 6th edition of the show. First things first, though, rewinding the sports world just a bit to yesterday. Big night for the New York Rangers as they take a 1-0 series lead, open up the series against the Hurricanes.
Played to Jarvis, missed the deflection, steered away. 3 seconds to go, and this one is over. Rangers win it.
Rangers win it 4-3 in Game 1. Big-time win there. New York takes a 1-0 series advantage. Audio there, 98.7 ESPN New York. Otherwise, yesterday it was a Game 7 between Dallas and Vegas. This was a great first-round series. Dallas ultimately gets the job done.
Now Radek Faksa had position on Martinez. Leaves it for Smith. Back for Faksa. Was in his skates. Backhand. He scored! Radek Faksa! Opening minute of the third. He's back in the lineup, and the Stars are back in front.
Back in business, indeed, of the Stars. That was the game-winning goal, believe it or not, at the start of the third. Final score 2-1. Audio there, KTCK. Tonight in the NHL, just one game going on. It's Game 1 between the Bruins and Panthers from Florida. 7 o'clock puck drop on ESPN. Tomorrow night, one you don't want to miss. Hurricanes at Rangers, Game 2, 6 o'clock on ESPN. Game 1 is Dallas is home to Colorado. That gets started at 8:30 on ESPN tomorrow night. NBA Finals, looking back to Saturday. Minnesota got a big upset win over Denver on the road for Game 1. 106-99 the final. Anthony Edwards as par for the course these days. Fantastic. 43 points and 7 boards. Minnesota takes a 1-0 series lead. Yesterday in the NBA, Cleveland slammed the door on the Orlando Magic with a Game 7 win, 106-94. Donovan Mitchell goes for 39 and says, we can still be better than we were yesterday.
This was great because we were able to learn a lot of things about ourselves. I'm never going to shy away from that, but, we can be better. You know what I mean? And I hate to be that guy, but, this was great. This was phenomenal as a great win, great series, great test for us mentally, physically, but, we can and we will have to be better to beat Boston. No disrespect to Orlando because they are a phenomenal team. They got a lot of great guys.
That's Donovan Mitchell there. Again, 39 points, 9 rebounds in the series win for Cleveland yesterday. Game 7 final, 106-94. Tonight in the NBA, things get going from MSG for the New York Knicks, home to the Indiana Pacers. And here's what Chris Canty has to say about the expectations surrounding New York.
I am fully expecting the New York Knicks to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Anything less is not just a disappointment, it's a failure.
I think that argument could be made.
If the New York Knicks don't get to the Eastern Conference Finals, after the series that they just came out of, after the draw that they're going to get in the second round as opposed to the alternative, they damn well better get to the Eastern Conference Finals. This is a situation now, if you're the New York Knicks, after that war that you just got out of with the Sixers, if you can't find your way to the conference finals, it has to be viewed as a failure.
Game 1 tonight, 6:30 on TNT. Pacers at Knicks. It's Game 2 between Minnesota and the Denver Nuggets tonight, 9 o'clock on TNT. Stephen A. Smith is talking very positively about the Timberwolves these days.
I got Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves winning this series. I mean, I've seen enough. This brother he is so sensational, it's hard to put into words. This brother is the truth and a half. He is the real deal.
That's Stephen A. Smith. Again, matchup game number 2 from Denver, 9 o'clock on TNT. Other broad strokes NBA news from over the weekend. Darvin Ham is out as the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. I know LeBron James in the past had been pretty darn involved in regards to conversations regarding the future of the franchises he played with and played a part in as far as the head coaches go, future, past, and present. But now Brian Windhorst says that LeBron has taken a step back in that regard.
This is not a situation where LeBron went in there and was like, get rid of this coach. That is not something he has done, I don't think, ever. And really, in all honesty, ever since the Russell Westbrook transaction, I think LeBron has taken an extra step back from Lakers' moves because nobody wants their hands on that one. And everybody sort of pretends like it was somebody else's fault. But I do think that was a lesson with Laker transactions, including head coach.
That's Brian Windhorst. Again, Timberwolves at Nuggets, game at number 2, 9 o'clock on TNT. Pacers at Knicks, game 1, 6:30 on TNT tonight. Major League Baseball finals from over the weekend. Colorado lost to Pittsburgh yesterday 5-3. Chicago Cubs back on the right track as they blast Milwaukee 5-0.
Deep drive to left center off the bat of Swanson. It's got a chance. Gone. Dansby Swanson with a line drive home run to left center. And the Cubs now lead 4-0.
Chicago Cubs win at 5-0 yesterday at Wrigley. WSCR, the audio there. Other finals, Yankees over the Tigers 5-2. Cleveland wins at home over the Angels 4-1. And all good things come to a close. It's been not good but great lately for the Minnesota Twins. 12-game win streak coming into yesterday. And the Red Sox end it with a 9-2 win at Target Field.
Devers drives one high and deep into right field. It's way back. It is gone. He does eat Devers, his 4th home run of the year, and it is 9-2 Red Sox.
That would be the final 9-2 yesterday from Target Field. Joe Ryan with his 2nd loss of the season. He's 1-2. Audio there, WEEI. Other finals, Rangers over Kansas City 3-2. And the White Sox win a game in St. Louis 5-1. Chicago gets win number 8 on the season. Today and tonight in Major League Baseball, Tigers at Guardians do it again, 5:10. The start time on Fox Sports 1. White Sox at Rays, 5:50. Brewers at Royals. Padres at Cubs. Mets at Cardinals. Smattering of other matchups. Mariners at Twins from Target Field, 6 o'clock pregame, 6:40. The official start time. You can listen to Twins baseball always right here on ESPN Sioux Falls. Latest American League standings on a Monday. AL Central standings first. Guardians are 22-12. 2.5 games better than both the Twins and the Royals. Minnesota 19-14. Kansas City 20-15. Followed by Detroit 4 games back at 18-16. And the White Sox in the cellar at 8-26. AL West standings at Seattle and Texas. Just about a dead heat atop the division there. Followed by Oakland, Houston, and the LA Angels. And out to the AL East, it's Baltimore, 1 game clear of the New York Yankees. Red Sox are 3rd, followed by Tampa Bay and Toronto. Very competitive division there. Toronto is the worst team in that division with a record of 16-19. Couple great finishes in the world of racing, horse and auto combined over the weekend. NASCAR racing had their closest finish ever in recorded history at Kansas as Kyle Larson wins the race over Chris Buescher by maybe less than a horse's nose. Chris Buescher 2nd, Chase Elliott 3rd. Next race for NASCAR is at Darlington on Sunday, 2 o'clock on Fox Sports 1. And it took a horse's nose, maybe a nose hair of a difference to see Mystic Dan win the 150th running of the Kentucky Derby. He was followed up by Sierra Leone and Forever Young in a very wild and memorable 3-horse finish at Churchill Downs. A lot of fun on Saturday evening. Mystic Dan takes the top spot. Sierra Leone 2nd, Forever Young 3rd, Catching Freedom 4th, and T.O. Password finishes 5th in the 150th running of the Kentucky Derby. Now into your Reliabank headlines of the day here for hour number 2. Things continue to go the way of the Augustana Vikings on the softball diamond. A fifth inning 2 RBI home run followed up by a walk-off 3-run bomb from Kennedy Buckman secured the NSIC title for Augustana in a 9-0 win over Minnesota Duluth on Saturday. The Vikings secured their spot in the upcoming NCAA tournament and will await its opponent in Monday's selection show. Grace Glanzer, once again fantastic, pitched a 3-hitter, 6-inning complete game while striking out 9 to move to 23-3 on the season. Augustana has outscored its opponents 20-0 over the course of the NSIC tournament. Glanzer struck out 18 batters in 3 appearances and helping the Vikings move their record to 45-13 on the season. Again, they will learn of their opponent, destination, time, everything for the schedule later on this afternoon. GoAugie.com for the latest details on the future in the season, in the postseason for Augustana Viking softball. Augustana baseball having a historic season. They close out the regular season 41-8 overall. That's a program best record, beating the 2018 mark of 40-8. They also ended the year as the NSIC regular season champions with a 32-6 conference mark. The Beavers, after the loss over the weekend, Minot State falls to 15-34, 12-27 in conference play. Up next for the Vikings, they head to Bismarck for this year's NSIC conference tournament, where they take on NSIC's 8th-seeded team at noon on Wednesday. Stay tuned again. GoAugie.com, the place to go for the latest on Augie softball and on Augie baseball. South Dakota State completed its final game before postseason play on Saturday as they lost a 7-4 game to Omaha down at Connie Clausen Field. Jackrabbits and Mavericks had already sealed the number 1 and number 2 seeds in the upcoming Summit League softball tournament, respectively. Heading into the meeting, Mavs took advantage early by scoring 3 runs off SDSU starter Shannon Lacey in the first inning. South Dakota State now 31-20. Overall in the season, Omaha improved to 37-12. And up next, South Dakota State is the number 1 seed at the Summit League Softball Championship Tournament. Jackrabbits will await to see who they play as the number 4 and 5 seeds are not in place. South Dakota State will begin the tournament against the winner of that game at 11 o'clock a.m. on Thursday at home at the Jackrabbits Softball Stadium. Well, moving forward, the Minnesota Twins win streak is officially snapped, and they'll look to start one today as they play home to the Seattle Mariners. But Boston officially ends the Twins' 12-game win streak by beating the Twins 9-2 yesterday. Vaughn Grissom and Dominic Smith had 2-run doubles, and Boston ended a 3-game slide in which it scored just 4 runs. Losing 2 out of 3 here stinks, but winning this one is pretty darn gratifying. Red Sox manager Alex Cora said it took a total team effort. Ryan Jeffers homered and Trevor Larnach had an RBI single for Minnesota yesterday. The Twins' 12-game winning streak, which will be remembered for quite a while, was tied for the second longest in team history behind a 15-win run back in a very successful stretch for the Twins in 1991, the last season in which Minnesota won the World Series. It did feel like every time an opportunity arose the past 12 games, it felt like we were always coming through, Carlos Correa said. Today was one of those days that we weren't able to do that, but at the same time, looking at the big picture, it's been a good couple of weeks. We just got to keep it going. It is a fun team. Certainly is for the Minnesota Twins. They've crawled out from a sluggish start in which they saw a 7-13 start to the season. Minnesota's new record following yesterday's loss, 19-14. Pretty darn good lately for the Minnesota Twins. Lastly here, as we round out your Reliabank headlines of the day, I loved what the New York Jets did in the NFL draft. They had some splash, they had some pizzazz, they had some boring, and some needs that they attacked. But one pick more than any other really hit home to me, because I told you folks that I'm not putting this guy in my top 6 quarterbacks. He's probably not in the top 10 quarterbacks this year because of his circumstances. But the Jets landed Florida State quarterback Jordan Travis in the late rounds of the NFL draft. The first goal for Travis is obvious. He wants to play football again. After that, New York Jets rookie quarterback from Florida State, who's only 5 months removed from a gruesome leg injury that ended his college career, he hopes to become Aaron Rodgers' heir apparent at the position. It might take some time before that happens, but the former Florida State star acknowledged that the idea of succeeding the 40-year-old Rodgers had crossed his mind. Yes, sir, I do think about that a lot, but right now I'm just focused on where my feet are, getting healthy, and getting everyone around me better and being a great teammate. The Jets drafted Travis with the first of 3 picks in the 5th round at number 171 overall because they love his long-term potential. I told you folks about quarterback-needy teams. And the teams that were going to take a guy in the 1st round, I wasn't worried about them taking Jordan Travis. In fact, I wasn't even worried about the mid-round teams that might land a quarterback like the Seattle Seahawks of the world that I wasn't really worried about. But Jordan Travis had a couple obvious top-tier landing spots, and one of those was New York. Another one was maybe out with the LA Rams because Matthew Stafford is starting to get kind of close to calling it a career and hanging up his cleats. But Jordan Travis needs one thing, and that's time. Time to get better, time to recover from surgery, and time to get his feet back under him, both literally and figuratively. If he's got the time and the ability to learn behind somebody good to great, which Rodgers, of course, is great. I don't care what you think about him. All-time great quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. Jordan Love has worked out so far after spending 3 years behind Aaron Rodgers. Say what you will about Rodgers, his mentorship style. He was a fantastic teammate to Jordan Love there in Green Bay. I think he'll be the same way with Jordan Travis, and I'm not going to bet against Travis because last year before he went down, he was one of the best quarterbacks in all of college football. His mechanics need some refinement, that is without a doubt, but there's no better place to do that than around the elite minds of the game, both at quarterback coach, offensive coaches, and just the experience of getting into the flow of a game day, playing in the preseason, game planning, looking at the iPad or the mobile device, whatever they want to call it, the Microsoft tablet or whatever, and just working through your mistakes with some great minds around you. Aaron Rodgers, a guy that has mentored young quarterbacks before to a lot of success. We'll wait and see what's ahead of Jordan Travis, but I had to share that story because I love the pick, I love the fit, and I love the long-term potential of the New York Jets and quarterback Jordan Travis. We take the break. When we come back, we'll dive into your history lesson each and every week here on the show. It's On This Day in Sports History. And then after that, we'll dive into some more NBA news and recap the Kentucky Derby that saw a big jump and a historic jump in viewership numbers. How long has it been since we saw numbers like that? We'll let you know. That's coming up on Overtime. It's the Monday edition of the show right here on ESPN 102.3 AM 1000 KSOO.
ESPN Sioux Falls gets you back to more of Overtime with Bert Rameen on ESPN 102.3 and AM 1000 KSOO, Sioux Falls sports leader.
Right back with you. It's the Monday edition of Overtime. Reminder, stay tuned. We've got Twins baseball coming up tonight. Seattle Mariners, Minnesota Twins. 6 o'clock is the pregame coverage. 6:40 the official start time from Target Field. Always tune in to Minnesota Twins baseball right here on ESPN Sioux Falls. But it's a Monday, and on Monday, we always like to get you filled in on your not Minnesota Twins, but sometimes Twins are involved in On This Day in Sports History. That's where we go now. It's your history lesson on a Monday.
History repeats itself.
Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier!
Well, sometimes.
What are they going to roll it? He caught it! Touchdown! He did what?
In the world of sports, there are moments that are fleeting. And some that live forever.
Russell looks, throws inside. Oh my God, it's picked off.
Oh! He broke his ankles!
Snap good, spot down. Walsh's kick is up, and it is no good. He missed it. Are you kidding me?
It's time for Bert to deliver those moments that happened on this day in sports history.
It's On This Day in Sports History, and we're going way back. And I know they say that every week, but this time is the furthest back we have ever gone. I can say that definitively on This Day in Sports History because we got to go back nearly, 300 plus years ago, 1733. 300 years ago-ish, the first international boxing match. And as far back as you go in history, you can always find a Bob. Local fighter Bob Whitaker beat the Venetian gondolier Tito Di Carni at James Figg's Academy Amphitheater in Marylebone, London, 1733. On this day in sports history, the first ever international boxing match. 1903, a little more modern there. Chicago White Sox commit 11 errors against the Detroit Tigers. It feels very on brand for today's Chicago White Sox, but that team won. That day, on this day in sports history, 1903, they take care of business against the Tigers, committing 11 errors, but won the game 10-9 at Southside Park in Chicago. On this day in 1915, future Baseball Hall of Fame slugger Babe Ruth hit his first Major League Baseball home run. He also pitched 12 frames in the Red Sox 4-3 extra innings loss to the New York Yankees. 1915 today, on this day in sports history, first home run for one Babe Ruth. 1954, English athlete Roger Bannister became the first human to run a sub-4-minute mile, recording a time of 3 minutes, 59.4 seconds at Iffley Road Track in Oxford. 1965, on this day in sports history, Jerry Sloan was selected by the Baltimore Bullets as the 4th overall pick in the 1965 NBA Draft. 1984, on this day in sports history, former Baltimore Oriole great, Hall of Famer Cal Ripken Jr. hit for the cycle on this day in 1984. 1987, Mario Andretti set a one-lap speed record at Indianapolis Motor Speedway of over 218.2 miles per hour. And on 1998, on this day in sports history, I already saw it making its rounds on Twitter this morning. Kerry Wood put out one of the most memorable and best pitching performances in modern baseball history. He struck out 20 Houston Astros to tie the Major League record held by Roger Clemens, threw a one-hitter and did not walk a single batter in just his 5th career start. Kerry Wood, bursting onto the scene, struck out 20 Houston Astros on this day in sports history back in 1998. Birthdays on this day, a historic birthday for an NFL coaching legend. Weeb Eubank was born on this day in Richmond, Indiana in 1907, was a coach with the Baltimore Colts and the New York Jets, was passed away in 1998. Happy birthday to Weeb Eubank, former NFL head coach of the Colts and the Jets, 1907. 1931 birthday today for Willie Mays, the American Baseball Hall of Fame center fielder, 24-time All-Star and a 12-time Gold Glove Award winner. 660 career home runs for Willie Mays, was the NL MVP in 1954 and 1965, was born on this day in Westfield, Alabama in 1931. Other birthdays today in sports, 1972 birthday for Martin Brodeur, the Canadian NHL goalie with Team Canada and the New Jersey Devils, was born in Montreal on this day in 72. 1978 birthday for pass rusher, former NFL player John Abraham, was born in Timmonsville, South Carolina, former Jet, former Falcon, and elsewhere. John Abraham, born on this day in 1978. And 1990, it's a polarizing player, but it's a birthday today for Venezuelan professional baseball second baseman for the Houston Astros, Jose Altuve, was born on this day in 1990 in Maracay, Venezuela. That's on this day in sports history, and when we come back, the latest and the greatest from the NBA world. Couple big news items to dive into, also recapping the Kentucky Derby. Did you tune in over the weekend? Odds would say you probably did, because there was a historic number of people watching the Derby on Saturday, and it was worth whatever time you gave to it yesterday, whether you stuck around for the call to post, whether you listened to the national anthem, to My Old Kentucky Home, or you just tuned in for the race alone. The best 2 minutes in all of sports. It was 2 minutes and 4 seconds, I believe, this time around for Mystic Dan to win the 150th running. We'll talk Derby. We'll talk basketball coming up next on Overtime.
Get ESPN Line. Grab your phone or call us up on your smart device. Now let's get you back to Overtime with Bert Ramin on ESPN 102.3 and AM 1000 KSOO.
Right back with you. It is the Monday edition of Overtime. Still a giveaway still to come on the program today. I can help you not drop the ball for Mother's Day. 6-pack of cupcakes to Oh My Cupcakes. Couple great locations here in the Sioux Empire. Stay tuned for the giveaway here today on Overtime. Couple news items from the NBA that don't necessarily pertain to the postseason. After missing the past 2+ seasons with a knee injury, Chicago Bulls guard Lonzo Ball has exercised his option on his contract for the upcoming season. Ball has undergone 3 surgeries on his left knee, the most recent a cartilage transplant in 2023. There remains some guarded hope that he could return next season, but there are no assurances that the damaged knee will allow him to play again. The 26-year-old officially signed an original 4-year, $80 million deal as part of the sign-and trade with New Orleans in the summer of 2021. After a fantastic start that the Bulls had the Bulls leading the Eastern Conference in 2021-2022, Ball averaged 13 points, 5.5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals before a knee injury occurred 35 games into the season. Now he exercises a $21.4 million option for his contract for next season. Lonzo Ball still working on continuing his NBA career. Jason Kidd has signed a multi-year contract extension to remain the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks. The team announced this morning. The deal comes just days after ESPN's Dave McMenamin reported that Kidd's name was mentioned as a possible candidate for the Lakers' head coaching vacancy, which came open after the team fired Darvin Ham on Friday. The 51-year-old Kidd coming off his 3rd season as the head coach of the Mavericks, a season in which he led the team to the Southwest Division title. In 2 of his 3 years, he coached the team to 50 or more wins and a playoff series wins in 2 seasons as well. Kidd also led the Mavs to the Western Conference Finals in 2022. Now on to the Kentucky Derby. All sorts of great news coming out from this. Mystic Dan's nose victory in the 150th running of the Derby drew in 16.7 million viewers. That's the biggest audience for the race since 1989. Quite some time, about 35 years. Viewership peaked at 20.1 million viewers from 7 to 7:15 Eastern Time on Saturday when the 18-1 shot Mystic Dan, Sierra Leone, and Forever Young hit the wire together in the Derby's first 3-horse photo finish since 1947. That marked the biggest peak audience ever for the Derby, aired on NBC. Good news as well for those of you that liked NBC's coverage this year and in years past. It's here to stay. NBC Sports and Churchill Downs Incorporated have agreed to a multi-year contract extension that will keep the Derby airing on the network through at least 2032. More news from the Derby. The 150th running featured a photo finish and record betting interest. According to Churchill Downs, over $210 million was wagered on Mystic Dan's win of the Kentucky Derby, besting by $20 million the previous betting record set last year. Mystic Dan went off as an 18-1 dog and held off Sierra Leone and Forever Young in what was the closest finish in the Derby since 1947. Overall betting on the Derby Day card soared to a record $320.5 million, beating last year's record of $288.7 million. Additionally, Twin Spires, an online racebook and official betting partner of the Derby, took a record $92.1 million in wagering on Saturday's races at Churchill Downs. Last but most certainly not least, you can find this in the kind of filed in the potential bad news category. The second jewel of horse racing's Triple Crown could be missing. 150th Kentucky Derby winner Mystic Dan and other co-stars quashing hopes for a rematch after the thrilling 3-way photo finish that took place on Saturday. Trainer Kenny McPeak of the horse's ownership wouldn't commit to whether the colt would race in the 149th Preakness coming up on May 18th in Baltimore, which requires a quick 2-week turnaround. Mystic Dan will travel to Saratoga, New York before they decide whether or not to enter him in the 1 3/16 mile Preakness race. We're not committed to the Preakness, not yet, McPeak said on Sunday morning outside his barn barn on Churchill Downs' backside. I ran him back in 2 weeks, and it completely backfired on me, so we'll just watch him over the next week. It's one of those situations where we'll probably take it up to the last minute. We will let the horse tell us. You got to respect the trainer's decision, got to respect the team's decision, but there is a little bit of a letdown and a lull after such a historic and exciting finish that he won't have an opportunity potentially to earn a Triple Crown title, something that has been done just 2 times since the turn of the century. Speaking of horses, you don't want to be a horse's patootie on Mother's Day. I got an opportunity for you right now. First come, first serve. Caller 1, caller 2, caller 3. I got a free gift that'll get you out of the doghouse guaranteed. It's a 6-pack of cupcakes to Oh My Cupcakes, 605-362-3776. Mother's Day is coming up around the corner, and according to a super scientific Google search, 11 things that moms really want for Mother's Day. Here's a few things that stand out. Time alone. Time with their kids, a handwritten note or card, dining out, going out to eat, home-cooked meal, a clean house, a relaxing spa treatment, peace and quiet, and cupcakes. Not on the list officially, but they're on my list, and they should be on yours as well. 605-362-3776. My phone lines are completely full. I'll be right with you guys here in just a moment. Hang on hold. 605-362-3776. We're back to wrap up the show. Coming up next, it's the good, the bad, and the ugly on Overtime.
Overtime is in the middle of your workday. Unwrap your sandwich and get caught up with Bert Rameen on ESPN 102.3 and AM 1000 KSOO, Sioux Falls sports leader.
Right back with you, set to wrap up this Monday edition of Overtime. Looks a little sunny outside. I know we got some weather concerns today and tomorrow through the week, but man, the weekend, some great weather. Hope you and yours enjoyed it immensely. Maybe some garage sales in the rear view and certainly out in front of you as well. It's a lot to look forward to this time of year in the 605. It's time for the good, the bad, the ugly. By the way, I did get my 3 winners for the cupcakes. For those of you that kept on ringing and ringing and ringing, you're in luck because I still have a bunch of certificates left here to help you not drop the ball for Mother's Day. Mother's Day is Sunday, fellas. Mother's Day is Sunday. PSA, don't tell anyone that nobody told you. Don't drop the ball. I can help you out, but I can only help out so many people throughout the week. I'll be hooking you up with a 6-pack of cupcakes to Oh My Cupcakes. Couple great locations here in the 605. The number is always to dial when I tell you to get in on the cupcake extravaganza, 605-362-3776. And now it's time to round out the Monday edition of Overtime by giving you the good, the bad, and the ugly from the sports world.
Who's been the problem child today? Displayed their ugly side, whined a bit too much, and is now setting a bad example? Bert is calling out today's headline makers with the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Time for the good, the bad, and the ugly. And for those of you that might be interested in what former Nebraska head football coach Mike Riley is up to, I've got an update for you. It's part of the good news. Former Oregon State and Nebraska head football coach Mike Riley has been named to the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. He replaces athletic director Pat Chun, who was appointed to the 13-member committee when he was at Washington State, but stepped down when he was hired for the same position at Washington. We are pleased to have Mike join the committee. He has significant experience as a player and a coach, and he loves college football. He'll bring a unique perspective to the committee, plus he is a delightful human being. That's from Bill Hancock, the executive director of the College Football Playoff. Riley, who will serve a 3-year term on the committee, was the head coach at Oregon State from 1997 to 1998, and again from 2003 to 2014 before departing to take a job at the University of Nebraska. Riley was fired from his job at Nebraska by former athletic director Bill Moose on November of 2017, just hours after the Huskers lost to Iowa 56-14 to finish up a 4-8 season down in Lincoln, the worst at the school since 1961. Riley ended his stint at Nebraska with a 19-19 record over 3 years. Riley, who at one time was the longest tenured coach in the Pac-12, took over an Oregon State program in 1997, then hadn't had a winning season since 1970. Left after 2 seasons for a 3-year stint with the Chargers, but not before his Beavers knocked off nationally ranked Oregon in overtime in the 1998 Civil War game. Certainly an established head coach and will be one of the members of the selection committee moving forward for the expansion of the college football playoff. Now on to other good news. In case you missed one photo finish, there were a couple over the weekend, including in the sport of NASCAR. Kyle Larson came roaring around the outside of Chris Buescher on the final lap at Kansas Speedway, banging doors with him all the way to the finish line, only to be told by his team over the radio that everything he had given was not quite enough. It wasn't until Larson was in turn 3 of the cooldown lap that he saw his spotter Tyler Mahn dancing high above the track in the closest finish in NASCAR history. Over the weekend, one that only became official with a grainy black and white photo at the line, the number 5 car belonging to Kyle Larson was declared the winner by a 1,000th of a second. Every bit as close as the Kentucky Derby a day earlier, and even more dramatic finish in the 3 at the line conclusion to the Cup Series race at Atlanta earlier this season. Couple close finishes already in NASCAR season, and this weekend, no exception at all. On to the bad news. It's not bad news, but I'd love to see him go ahead and continue to flourish with his retirement. J.J. Watt is keeping the door slightly ajar on a possible NFL return if his Houston Texans make the call, but this is the final year that he'll say that. Watt, who retired following the 2022 season, made his comments on Saturday as he hosted his annual charity softball game down in Houston. I'm a very, very lucky, fortunate man. I've got a beautiful wife, beautiful son. I've had 12 great years in this league, and I'm very thankful to have walked away healthy and playing great. I told D'Amico Ryans last year, coach of the Texans, don't call unless you absolutely need it, but if you ever do call, I'll be there. This is the last year I'll tell him that because I'm not going to keep training the way I've been training. The 35-year-old J.J. Watt and D'Amico Ryans played together for the Texans back in 2011, which was Watt's first NFL season, and Ryans' last with the team. Ryans was hired as the Texans coach last year and led the team to a surprising division title and a wild card victory. Regular season record was 10-7. J.J. Watt is retired, but he's not really retired if just one team calls and says, hey, we need your help to come in and give us some depth. And J.J. Watt, I'm certain, could come in and play and get a couple sacks, 3, 5, 7 sacks in a year if need be. But I'm certain he's probably pretty darn happy in retirement, even with those comments. Watt is currently an NFL analyst for CBS Sports, and he and his wife also recently became minority owners of English soccer club Burnley Football Club last year. Watt, a great Hall of Fame caliber career, Defensive Rookie of the Year, 3 Defensive Player of the Year honors in 10 years with the Texans, and finished his career with over 114 career sacks. Now on to the ugly, unfortunate news from the basketball world. Former Michigan standout and Lakers draft pick Darius Morris has passed away at the age of 33. Family announced on Saturday no cause of death was given. TMZ reported that Morris's body was found in the L.A. area on Thursday, and he was a Los Angeles native. With great sadness, we announced the passing of our dearly beloved son, Darius Aaron Morris. During this time of transition, his family asked that you please respect their wishes for privacy and grace. More on the 33-year-old Morris who passed away over the weekend. Morris, a second-round pick of the Lakers back in 2011, averaged 3 points in over 132 career games with the Lakers and 4 other teams in 4 NBA seasons. Rest in peace to Darius Morris. That's the good, the bad, the ugly, and that is our show on a Monday. Believe it or not, came and went in the blink of an eye. Tomorrow on the program, we're going to begin checking in with some area athletes that are looking forward to achieving their NFL dreams. We'll check in with both Augustana football players Blake Larson, Casey Bauman, that are making the jump to the NFL this week. Can't wait to talk with them both. They're both on the schedule this week, and we will have everything you need to stay informed in the sports world always right here on Overtime. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 11 when the next edition of Overtime rolls around right here on ESPN Sioux Falls.